Hello and welcome everyone to the fourth session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I will be hosting Ranier and Adriana Latchu, who are Ranier is from Trinidad and lives in Colombia. Ranier has bought real estate in Colombia and today he will share his experience with us. His wife Adriana will join as well and we'll talk a little bit about the buying process. Before we start, I would like to introduce our Colombia real estate guide. If you watch via Hangouts, you find the link on the right-hand side. Simply click on the link and you will be directed to it. If you watch via YouTube, you will find the link in the description. Also, if you want to become a member of our live interview community, either as listener or as guest, you can click the link in YouTube and we will inform you about new events. So let's start with Ranier and Adriana. Hello and welcome, Ranier and Adriana. Thanks for having us. Thanks for being with us. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
My name is, as Michael said, my name is Ranier. I'm from Trinidad and presently living in Colombia, in Bogotá. We bought a house, Adriana and myself, in August 2012, thereabouts. And it just so happened that's when I moved to Colombia, on and around that date, coincided with the purchase of my house.
So, if I might quickly ask you, what is your profession? What are you dedicating yourself to? And also, how came you moved first of all to Colombia?
I'm a systems analyst by profession, but I also work with Singaporean or Asian companies looking at marketing their products in Colombia and South America. Really looking at new business opportunities in Colombia. It's a potentially growing market. I think the second or third fastest growing in South America. And if you look at the whole region of South America and the Caribbean, it's in the top three. So these opportunities are good here.
Okay, so that means you're building bridges between Asia and Colombia, more or less. How is it? Trying. So because me personally, I don't have any relationships to the Asian market. How is it that there are Asian, people from Asia interested in buying properties or running or starting businesses in Colombia?
Well, more running or starting businesses in Colombia, yeah. And initially marketing their products.
Okay, so we are talking basically about imports of most probably technical stuff, starting from smartphones to kitchen devices, or how can I?
No, it's about 80% software. A lot of software. Devices, but whatever they market, they will send me an email. I've dealt with power drinks, bulletproof vests, and what have you. But a lot of it is software.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so that means the Asian markets or people from you mentioned Singapore in particular. They have realized they have realized that the GDP is increasing, has been increasing rapidly here. They know about the demographics most probably, and they are absolutely interested in running business. So quickly, maybe you can give us a quick example about how do you do that? You have already existing relationships back in Asia, or how has that emerged, the relationship between the Asian market and also the Colombian market?
Well, no, I have existing relationships in Asia. It's trying to build bridges with the Colombian market. So basically, it's a lot of cold calling, presenting the software, whatever you have, to the Colombian market, and follow-ups, demonstrations, what have you.
Okay, that's interesting. Cool. So quickly about your life in Colombia. How's life in Colombia treating you? Where do you live, in which city, and also how can you explain the life to someone who has never been to Colombia?
I'm in Bogotá, which is the capital of Colombia. Life is good here. It's nice. We're up in the Andean mountains, 1,600 meters above sea level, so it's nice, and 1,200.
2,600.
2,600. I'm correct.
Please, come on.
And so the climate is nice. There are no mosquitoes bothering you. I tell my friends in Trinidad, because everybody thinks it's cold in Colombia. I said, well, actually, we're closer to the equator than Trinidad. It's just that we're up in the mountains, nice and cool, so you're not bothered by mosquitoes or whatever. Nice light jacket will do just fine. The language for me is I'm not a language person. It's a little bit difficult, and partly my fault. I'm lazy, and still trying to get used to the food. I love spicy food, but life in Colombia is good. It's getting better. We would like to hope and think, but you still deal with the what's going on in Colombia, in Bogotá. There's the traffic and there's the littering and what have you. But it's a beautiful walking city, nice parks and what have you.
Okay, that sounds very positive, and I can confirm all of that. It's very, very nice to live in, especially in Bogotá, and it's changing a lot, especially right now. Obviously, the most interesting subject we want to talk about today is the real estate subject. So you have bought real estate in Colombia. Give us a quick idea. How was your experience? And maybe some interesting facts about it.
Okay, now I want to talk. I am Adriana or Adriana, whatever you prefer. We were looking for a very specific house. We were looking in a conservation area, and it took us like a year to find the right house. And then this is pretty much what it takes, a year or maybe less, but if you really need to look for. When we got this house, we knew that because the house is from the 40s, and then we need to invest more money after because you have to do a renovation. But the market is huge here. You will find very nice houses, well located, and it depends on what you are looking for. Location, because the construction here is quite nice. You can get a house in not very good condition, but you can refurbish it. This is another option here.
And the route we took is, rather than going through an agent, we hit the streets, because in Bogotá, it's a lot of people sell privately. So you walk on the streets and you'll see the sign on the window saying "Se vende," for sale. With a telephone number. You call the telephone number and you speak directly with the owner. You make an appointment to see the house, and you deal with them directly. In our case, we bought from a company, a Colombian company, and it was no different. They put a post on the window, and it was for sale. So that was the only difference, rather than dealing with a private individual.
And why do you think is that they prefer not to go via the broker? Is that the brokerage fees, or are there cultural explanations for that?
I think it's a lot cultural, but of course the brokerage fees as well. But I think I noticed that in Barcelona when we were there, a lot of private sales, signs stuck on the windows. So I think it's probably cultural.
Okay, so you said you have been looking for a house for a year around this. Maybe
it could have been shortened, but at that time I wasn't really living in Bogotá. So anytime I was here for a month or 2 months, we'll go looking at houses, and then I'll leave to go back to Trinidad for another month or two. So we decided enough is enough. Let me stay here and actually earnestly look for a house. And so I think it could have been cut down to 6 or 9 months.
Okay, interesting. So I hope this gives me a little bit of proof or hope that my idea to facilitate that communication between foreigners and Colombians is gonna work, and it's gonna also reduce that from 1 year maybe to a month, one day in the future. Tell us a little bit about.
It could be reduced to 1 day if you find the house you're looking for in 1 day.
Sure, yeah, definitely. What were your metrics you were looking for? You were trying to obtain when looking for the house. Were you looking for a certain return on investment? Were you looking for a certain neighborhood? And also then the result? What did you buy in fact? And was it a good investment, or was it? I don't know. Can you recommend that, or can you say, okay, please stay away from Colombia?
No, we as Adriana said, we had a general idea of what we were looking for and the area we were looking in. So once we identified those 2 points, and of course you're working with a budget, you is hitting the streets calling. We probably saw at least 10 houses in this area before we decided on the one we bought. And we bought knowing that we had to do some renovation, and we are planning to do some more renovations this year. And it depends on how large your family is. It's Adrian and myself. So you have, with a house of 200 to 400 square meters, is potential rental income. So we are going to convert into 4 apartments, 1 for us and 3 for short-term rentals. And it's no regrets whatsoever. I have seen close enough doubling of my investment within 2 or 3 years.
Well, okay, so 100% within 3 years. And also directly renting out, so that means you directly get your returns. That's very interesting.
You have to keep in mind, with that being said, keep in mind the economics of Colombia. It's slowing down right now, so it might be a good buyer's market. I don't know. Sure.
We just talked a little bit about how was it when you looked for your real estate properties. Maybe you can talk a little bit, give an idea to the audience. How was it when you bought it? Did you have, like, what were the legal documents? What was the process? Who did you have to talk to? Which parties were involved? Can you give us an idea about that quickly?
Okay. Well, once you found your dream home, you have to be sure who you're dealing with. The person you're dealing with is the real owner. And there is a document called a Certificado de Tradición y Libertad, which the seller should present you with. But you can also go to another government agency called Supercade with the property number and the Certificado Tradición Libertad number, and they will print out a copy for you. I think it's 14,000 pesos. Okay. And with that, you will get the full history of the house from the original owner to the present day owner. So that's that should also indicate if there are any liens, mortgages, or whatever on the house. Okay. So at least you know what you're getting into. That takes away I can speak for a Westminster system, a British system in Trinidad. Trinidad is a British colony. You will hire a lawyer to do that for you. In the instant in Colombia, when I discussed with Adriana, should we hire a lawyer? The first question is, why do you want to hire a lawyer? I said, well, don't you need to do, in Trinidad we say you do a search. And effectively, this is what the Supercade does. That Certificado de Tradición Libertad is the search. It shows you who owns it, who owned it, who presently owns it, and if there are any liens on the property.
And I can ask for any certificado de libertad y tránsito of any property, or do I have to have permission?
No, you can go and once you have the number, you can go and request it and pay the $14,000 and get it for any property in Colombia, as far as I know.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do an additional step that you just have the address, then you have to go to find something that is called matrícula, and that is like the ID of the house. It's not because maybe the addresses change, but it's always the same ID. And then once that you go to the same place, to the same institution, and with the address, and they will give you the ID of the house. With that ID, you can get the document you pay of any house. It doesn't matter if you are the owner or not. It's a public document. As far as you pay for that, they will print it to you, or you can go through internet and get it online.
Yeah, and as with buying a house any part of the world, you want to see if there are any liens on the house, if there's an inheritance issue that 3 or 4 different people own it, if there are mortgages, outstanding mortgage on the house, and any other legal problems with the house. I would suggest just avoid it.
Sure.
Avoid
yeah.
these houses, yeah.
Because otherwise you have to deal with 38 or 35 different people who all want to have some money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go through the next process of agreeing on a price with the seller. And once that has been agreed upon, a promesa de compra-venta de bien inmueble, which is a document, between you and the seller. It's a sale agreement of sorts.
It's a promissory sales contract, like a pre-contract, more or less.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And you take that to get that notarized, and this is what all the details are laid out. The seller's details, your detail, and the ID in Colombia is called a cedula. So your cedula number, in my case, it was my passport number. The selling price, the deadlines for the deposits, the deadlines for paying the rest of the deposit. All these are laid out in this promissory sale agreement.
Okay.
It's notarized, so it's that's it.
And even the penalties, like the so-called arras, are also declared in that one. Is that correct? Correct. If you don't comply to what's been discussed previously, it's already been directly stated, okay, what you have to pay for, as a fee or as a penalty. Okay.
Yeah, everything is laid out down to the buyer, the seller's bank account number. In the event that you're transferring money overseas, you know which bank account to deposit it into. So all these are laid out in that document.
Okay, I think that also directly directs us to the next question about how did you move the money to Colombia? Have you experience with that?
Yes, we have. I came in here as a foreign investor. Just so happened the property.
No, he was in a tourist visa when he got the property, but he transferred the money from his account to the seller's bank account directly, because if, let's say that he has a bank account in Colombia in his name, then it has to pass through his bank account and then transfer to the seller. Then you have to pay an additional tax that is called 4 por mil, 4 for each 1,000. Then we wanted to avoid that tax, and then we pay directly to the seller instead of bringing the money to our bank account to give it to the seller.
Interesting. So they have a tax in just if you transfer the money within your same name, let's say cross-border, while there's no tax when you transfer the name from one person to the other cross-border. That's more or less correct?
The tax is charged if you transfer money internally within Colombia. So from my account in Bogotá to the client's account in Bogotá.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
so it was
yeah.
so to avoid that cuatro in mil or whatever it's called, we transfer the money directly to the buyer. Sorry, to the seller.
But then my question is, weren't you afraid that this seller is going to run away with the money?
No, well, we had a notary document.
This is, I think, in any business, you have to feel comfortable with your who you are dealing with. And fortunately, we were dealing with a company. Maybe if it's a natural person, we call it here like a regular person, you really need to feel that the gut feeling that is okay, or at least to get all the person is living. You should know where the person lives, or gather as much as possible information to feel that you are dealing the right thing. Because yes, this is promesa de compraventa, is a legal document, but you don't want to go through the process of binding somebody or taking to court. This is something that yes, like any business, sometimes doesn't go in the way that you want.
Sure, I understand. So, but just to make sure, if I could take this, like if I have the promissory sales contract, this promesa de compraventa, and I transfer the money to this seller, I can show, like, if, for example, if I have then problems, if I don't know, like if there's some if this seller suddenly says, okay, this is my money, or I don't know where it comes from or whatever, I can show the proof of the what is it, promissory sales, yeah, and I can show that to the court or whatever, and this definitely holds as a proof. As a proof. That okay, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, okay. And that's why it's important that it's notarized. You go to the notary. It's not just signed for the both parties. It's good to be
notarized and sealed and stamped and everything.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. Okay, and then the next.
And the second thing, the second thing that is important, and that if you pass, you have to pass everything through the financial system, and it's better you pass all the money through the bank, because you will have proof that they got the money, right? And then they have to justify why they got that money.
Yeah, that's proof enough.
And this is where the so-called formulario 4, the form 4, comes into play.
Yeah, but the form 4, in my instance, we brought in enough money to qualify me as a foreign investor, and you once you pass the money through the banking system, you fill out a form 4, and the form 4 supporting document with the form 4 will also include source of funds, where you got the money from, which is very the anti-laundering laws in Colombia are very strict, for obvious reasons, and that also allows you as a foreign investor, and this is, I think, is hard coded in the laws in Colombia, that if for whatever reason if you decide to sell the house in the future, you can take your money out. You will be allowed to take your money out. So that's the security that's given to foreign investors in Colombia.
Okay, so for every proceedings, for every when you're renting out your money, for example, let's say, I don't know if you do that, but maybe you know it. If you are renting out your, or let's say you wouldn't be living in here in Colombia, you would stay in Trinidad, and you would like to have your monthly money, like from your the money from the proceedings you're renting out. If you want to have that transferred back to Trinidad, you could do that without paying taxes.
That one I don't know.
Okay.
But probably yes, you Yeah, we need more information about it. But once that you sell your property, you have to pay the selling taxes. And then
Okay.
it's like,
But there are no additional taxes because you're a foreigner and you want to be.
Your tax like any other Colombian. You pay your house tax every year.
Sure.
If, as you said, if it's a rental income, you pay on a tax on the income you make if it falls above the minimum. And presently the economy is good and you can take foreign exchange out, so you will be allowed. But you pay your taxes on it. You pay your taxes on income.
And you don't know, like you said right now, you talked about the proceedings, monthly proceedings. You don't know either about the if you sold your house right now, if you had to fill out a different form, and then how the process would be. You don't know that either right now.
I know we don't know the details of it.
No, that's absolutely fine.
As far as I know, I at least I will qualify under the thing that where I can take the money out.
Sure.
Yes, but once that you sell the property, that was what gives you the foreign investor title. You have to let the central bank know that you don't classify as a foreign investor anymore. This is something that once that you are a foreign investor, you have to let the central bank that you sold the property.
Okay, got it. And that goes along most probably with the legal things concerning resident visa, because I think you are applicable or you can apply for a resident visa or for some visas, which then later on can be turned into a resident visa when you invest more than $200,000 or something. Is that true? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, and your investment visa is valid for 2 years. It was 3, but I think it's changed to 2. And I went to renew mine, and I had to prove to them that I still own the property. That my investment is still here.
Okay, got it. Okay, interesting.
So it's just reverting back to the first document we mentioned, the Certificado de Tradición, and my name was still there. That you get an update, so the document can't be more than a month old, and you take it to the immigration office and you show them, hey, my name is still here. Yes, my investment is still in Bogotá. So yes, please renew my investment visa.
Yeah, and then. Concerning the buying process, then you move the money to the seller. Then I guess you met again with a notary again, and then you signed a real contract, or how was that?
No. It was at that stage. It was no notary. It was just between. What is it? Was there a notary? I'll leave it up to Adriana.
Of course, because it's the notary the one who is in charge to the deed. And you go there with the seller, you sign the document describes the location of the house,
That's after he's saying after you made the transfer of money.
The transfer of money, but I got lost then.
Yeah, like after the transfer of the money, I guess you should be then go again to the notary and then sell the real contract, no? Because the contract has been.
This is what I mean.
Yeah, you go to the deed. You take the deed to the registrar.
Yeah,
registry notary.
The deed. You go to the notary and you get the deed. You sign that date that you agree in the promesa de compra-venta. You agree that specific date, you will sign the final deed, the deed. Then, couple days later, you go and you collect the deed. With that deed, you have to go to register in another institution called Registro Notariado, and then they will update, and everywhere in Colombia, they will know that you own that property. Because the notary, they just do the deed, but if you don't take it to the Registro Notariado, where they will update the database, then nobody will know that you are the owner.
Exactly. This is seller. Yeah.
Once that is done, the matriculo will reflect your name as a new owner.
Yeah. this is so important that you also go to the other institution, to the is it the Oficina Catastral, the cadastral office, or is it in the local?
No, it's registro y notariado.
Yeah,
But
okay.
in the deed, in the last part of the deed, they warn you that you have certain amount of time to go to register that deed in that institution. They notify you that you have to do it, because if that expires, it's like the deed is nothing. You know, it has like a lifetime.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm happy that this confirms like more or less the process I understood, and I also wrote down. So this is very insightful, definitely. I have and now you have your property, and when was it? When did you buy it? And also, are you happy right now? Everything went well, and no bad experiences or new?
No, none whatsoever. And it was roughly August 2012.
Okay. So 3 years ago.
Yeah, but there is a important cost once that you take it to registro y notariado. They charge you, if I am not wrong, roughly 1%. And if you are buying a property, that could be a little bit. And then you have to be aware that there is a final cost that you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, 1% is indeed quite a lot. Yeah. Okay. Now
that roughly equates to your building, your house tax, which is what you pay every year.
You pay how much is it? How much usually?
Roughly 1%.
1% of the property value a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But for example, these houses, because this is like a promotion for these conservation houses, you get a reduction. You get a tax exemption because you are preserving the patrimony of the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it has some benefits.
Yeah, the benefits. We are technically in a. You can be in a level 5 area, but if you have a protected house, you get these benefits. And I think Adriana can correct me. I know she will. You also pay level 1 utility bills because you're in a protected house.
Yeah, if you use these houses as for living, I mean to live, no to have a business inside, then you will get some benefits.
Okay, interesting. Because you're
the plain thing.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that if you have an office or something in that property, then you have to pay full rate. But yes.
If you're living in the house, you pay the level 1 tax.
But I don't know if you know what is level, what the Ranier means for level. In Colombia, we pay utilities according to the location and the benefits around your area. And then you can spend the same amount of water, but if you are level 6, you will pay more than if you are level 1. And
so you are referring to the estratos.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So for the people who don't know, in Colombia, it's a stratification within big cities, especially also on the countryside. Please, guys on the other side, prove me wrong if I'm tell me if I'm wrong. And basically, each stratification or each location is allocated to a certain level, to a certain estratos, and then you have to pay public taxes and also service fees, water, gas, electricity, according to the location you are living in. And then basically it serves as a way of subsidizing lower levels, or money flows from the upper levels towards the lower levels. Is that correct, more or less?
Yeah,
correct. And as we said, if you buy in our case a protected home, because you're investing money into upkeeping this 40, 70-year-old property, you are subsidized of sorts. So you pay at a level 1. We pay at a level 1.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's also maybe going to the next area of discussion. tactics and also maybe some things you could recommend others to pay or to invest in, maybe also only in Bogotá, if you're feeling comfortable with it, because people might be thinking, okay, I'm going for the most expensive one because I get much more return on my investment because the rental fees are much higher. But how is your view on that? Where do you think is it interesting to invest, and what would you recommend?
It depends on what the person is looking for. It could be a couple who's living in Bogota 2 months of the year. The safe bet for them is an apartment of sorts. You can get apartments in this area as well. That offers them the security when they're not here. Building manager if they are going to rent it out to Airbnb and what have you. As far as return, my thinking is that in our area at least, it's the return will be at a steeper gradient than if you buy in a richer area, in a level 4 area. Because the prices are very reasonable here. It's as I discussed with you earlier on, Michael, this is gentrification. There's beautiful big houses, and it can be subdivided into 3 or 4 apartments and rented out as a source of income.
Yeah, absolutely. So you would go like, thinking about return on investment. You said previously, okay, what you're looking for. Let's say highest return on investment, or most interesting one, especially with respect to the gentrification right now. You would go for level 4, and then go for like either an apartment or house.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Do you see any difference between buying an apartment and buying a house? What would you prefer, and maybe why?
We preferred the house because we're living here. As I said, if it's a foreign investor who's looking at living in Colombia 2, even 6 months of the year, and the other 6 months is either empty or sub-rented, it might be a better bet to buy an apartment in an apartment building.
Sure.
And you have that additional security. But if you're living here the majority of the time, or you have somebody, an uncle, aunt, or friend who can look after the property for you, I would go for a house. You've got a nice backyard. You've got a nice neighborhood. You can renovate the house as you like. You can convert into 4 apartments, sell 3 and keep 1 to recoup your investment.
Sure. Okay. What about, are you planning to buy new properties, and if so, or even if not, where would you buy? Which area would you buy something in Bogotá right now? Which area do you think is the most interesting one?
If in the same area we're in right now, so Tesequillo area, it's a subdivision called the Magdalena. And the potentials are great here.
Okay, interesting.
Nice big colonial houses.
Yeah, one of the oldest barrios, neighborhoods in Bogotá, and very beautiful. I know that's. It's very interesting. It's also very interesting that you say that, because it's not the north. It's not like 150, like street 150 plus, where maybe even towards Chia, where a lot of people right now buy. But it's really in the center.
If you're buying to say subdivide and to rent, again, let's use Airbnb. Everything is here. You're straight up from the airport. You're here. All the tourist sites are here. The only one I can think of which is not here is probably Usaquén. But the Gold Museum, all the museums in this area, I mean, literally half an hour, 45 minutes walking from where I live. Yeah,
and the access is perfect while it's very calm.
You're close to, if you're renting visiting professors. Again, we're half an hour walking, 45 minutes walking from 3 or 4 of the major universities in Bogotá or Colombia. Yeah.
Okay, that's I agree. I think this neighborhood is very beautiful and sounds it's very unique, especially. Coming to the next question, what would you do differently? Do you have maybe anything which you would say, okay, maybe that was like not the smartest thing we did while buying the property, or this, if I had known that, maybe a tip to the audience, don't do this or don't do that. Is there anything you could mention?
Can you think of anything? We were lucky.
It took us a while. We were searching on internet with this website that you can look for properties, and we had like we were lucky because many people that were also searching for properties in this neighborhood, they didn't realize the house was for sale. The pictures in the website wasn't that good and not very attractive, appealing for you to think to buy a property.
So you have to actually come in. The pictures may not look good because of a bad photographer. Go and see the house. But no, I mean, as I mentioned to you, the only thing we probably regret is I'm sure we could have haggled another 50 or 100,000 pesos down. But no, we have no regrets.
Yeah, but there is also something in that is in our taxes. It tells you the value of the property considered for the government. They tell you what is the commercial value. And a couple of years back, that price, the value was different that people used to sell the properties. Now the city government realized that gap, and they are trying to get as much as possible taxes that they decided to make it equal or real this time.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that's very interesting, because until now, like usually it's based on the value, on the cadastral value, correct? The taxes, the fuente de la retención.
Yeah.
And now it's gonna,
but now they are using like the commercial value, because once that after you take the deed to the registro y notariado, you declare there how much you pay for that. And then all the information is centralized. They know how much you pay, and they know how much the house next door was sold. And then they make like, in that neighborhood, the prices are roughly that. And then now it's more real. Before it increased a little bit each year, but now they make it like level with how people are selling and buying.
That's interesting. Since when is that, more or less?
In this particular area, for the past, it was gradual, because you cannot increase 100% in a year, but they pretty much did that. For the past, let's say 5 years, the prices here were really, really cheap, and now they are like a commercial value.
Okay, interesting.
They're the realistic value now.
The realistic.
Yeah. Because I heard. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
There's again, Adriana can correct me if I'm wrong. We have a neighbor, and their house is beautifully renovated and everything. So our house, which is not renovated, is matched against their house, which is renovated and beautiful and fancy and whatever. And apparently, you can go to the authorities, I know the registro, notario, or wherever, and point this out to them that because our house is not fully renovated, we shouldn't be paying that much, and they may consider lowering your tax based on that.
Yeah, that's because I was thinking about the same. If you, for example, have a very old house, not renovated and whatsoever, and you are neighbor to a lot of big skyscrapers, that wouldn't make sense a lot.
No, yeah.
And you would suffer from huge amount of taxes.
You suffer from your rich neighbors, yeah.
No, but basically you pay for the size per square meter, and then of course the building will pay more because is probably is new, and then if the price per square meter is different than if your house is 50 years old. You see that the price per square meter is different, and then you will have just 300 square meters, while the building next to you will have 2,000 square meters. I don't know, and then that's basically is the price per square meter and how old is the property that put the price, and how if the property is 20 years old properties. What is the price that people are buying and selling? Different than the price that a house, 50 years old house, is the price is different per square meter.
Sure. Yeah, but that makes sense.
The market is maturing because there are people like yourself and Sam, who we mentioned early on, who's seeing the potential for foreign buyers in real estate in Colombia. And I'm sure there is somebody offering management services where even if you buy a house, you don't have to worry if you're living in Germany. You'll have a management company here looking after it for you.
Yeah, I think that's a huge business anyway, like anywhere, I think.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Because why being constrained to your domestic market only when considering buying a house? Why not, if the real estate market right now in Indonesia, for example, is booming, why shouldn't I be able to invest there?
Yeah, so I think the same will apply now as it applied 3-4 years ago when we were buying. We could have bought an apartment for 100,000 at a 100 square meter apartment, and with the same money we bought a house at 400 square meters. So given that both properties are increasing the same amount, I think the same basic rule will apply, that you can buy a house for the same amount that you can buy an apartment for.
Yeah. What do you see? Do you have an opinion about this particular topic, and also the bubble which a lot of people are talking about, the real estate market trends, where it goes to, and if it declines or increases more? What's your take at that?
I think that I don't think there's a bubble in Bogotá, purely because of how the financial transactions happen. In that they're high interest rate. If you're going to buy a house, this is not at 5 or 10% as you're doing in a Western country. It's more like 15 or 20% deposit. Plus, you have to the interest rates are quite high, so you have to really prove that. It's like the Canadian system a little bit, in that you really have to prove your worth to get a mortgage. And as I said, joke in Canada, you sell your soul and your firstborn child to get a mortgage. It's unlike America, where anybody and everybody got a mortgage.
Yeah.
So that is a buffer against a bubble. At least one firewall against a bubble. Yeah,
I agree. I have another quick question. I don't know if you apply, or if you did that concerning financing. Did you finance the house and finance that from Trinidad? And if so, how was the process? So I imagine if I tell my German bank, okay, I want to buy this house in Colombia, they might be not really inclined to do that because they don't know about anything about the market. It would be interesting if you have any information about that.
No, we don't. We don't know. We didn't take that route now.
Okay. Well, concluding questions already. First thing I like to ask: what do you like about Bogotá, about your life, about Colombia? What would you like to maybe implement in other countries, in Trinidad? And then the other question is: what you dislike? What would you like to have changed?
In Colombia, I like the varied weather, as I discussed the weather early on. But if Bogotá is too cold, you can drive for within an hour to La Vega, down the hill, and it warms up quite nice. So you could jump on a plane in an hour and a half. You're in Cartagena, where it's cooking. The people are friendly. There are lots of potential, and with the peace process pending, maybe a rough period after the peace process, but with chances of nice sunny weather after that.
Okay.
It should be good. As I said earlier on, the transportation can be a bit of a nightmare, but there's talk of a metro system. I love spicy food. It's difficult to get here, so I do my own cooking a lot. And as with, the litter problem can be an issue, but places continually being cleaned and continually being littered.
Yeah.
But no, it's a nice place to live, generally speaking.
Nice. Well, does any one of you have anything to add? Like Ariana, any thoughts? Any other comments? Do you want to go for concluding final thoughts?
Oh my gosh, that to buy a property as we did, it was like a big decision. It's not easy. You have to be careful. This is like a Colombian perspective. We are careful when we're doing business, and but if you are dealing with good people, I think everything will be okay. This is the most important, that you know who you are dealing with.
Yeah, okay. Especially if you're a foreign buyer, you just go through a reputable company like yourself or Sam or whoever else. Obviously, unless the buyer is willing to come here for a month or two and look at properties, you will be relying on somebody here to once you tell them what you're looking for. The choices are vast and varied for types of housing you can get in Bogotá.
Yeah,
from, as you know, the super rich to the nice old house.
That's a very good one. Yeah. For those who don't know, Sam Miller is a very well recognized Colombian real estate agent. I think he's Australian based. I think he has 10. I thought he has like 10 nationalities or something.
No, he's just Aussie.
Okay. He's running a Colombia International, very well recognized real estate company. Yeah. Well, so the final thoughts definitely is like, go for someone you trust. This is the most important thing, and go don't fall into the trap of being convinced by a big advertisement and then having some problems with the person later on. Well, Ranier, I hope I pronounced that well. And Ariana, I thank you very, very much for the introduction about the real estate market, about your experience, how it was when buying the properties here. It was a very, very nice talk with you. I really appreciate it. One quick question: in case people can contact you, do you have any website, or do you have anything, or maybe they can contact you via my email, and then I can forward that? Well,
yes. Better do it through you.
Perfect. Yeah. So people can can write an email to contact@hallocasa.com, and then tell me that they want to get in touch with you, and then I can forward that. Well, thank you for having been with us, and I wish you all the best. And we definitely have to go for coffee.
Yeah, when you come to visit your mother-in-law, give us a buzz.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, I will.
Okay, Michael, you be good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.